What is up, everybody? It is Lo, your host, and we are back with the Vols ATB crew, Brando and Drew.
Yo,
Alex
yo.
is not with us this week. He was pretty busy. So it's been a little bit since we've had like all of us on, but we are still bringing y'all the show. A lot to talk about tonight. Our first topic is going to be the massive upset. Vols beat number 3 ranked Auburn at home 67-62. Absolutely insane environment. I loved it. That win secured a double bye for the Vols in the SEC tournament, which was also huge. So again, just all around big game. So I guess we'll start off with whoever wants to go first because I didn't set an order.
I guess I'll go ahead and start it. Crazy atmosphere, really, really big win over a crazy opponent. Always going in, playing a former coach in Bruce Pearl. I feel like, we finally got that exorcism off our back, kind of getting that air out of the way. Really proud of how we played. 15-0 at home. You can't tell me that TBA does not make a difference with this team, being able to show out without all the COVID stuff going on. We do make a difference, and it's good to see them playing through us. So it was really good to see that. I wasn't there, but y'all were, and when y'all were telling me how crazy it was there, just everyone rocking, student section getting rowdy, seeing Bruce Pearl's family tweeting out after the game, kind of made me feel some kind of way, made me, I was, feeling happy, feeling glad. Just we shot the ball 33%, turned the ball over 18 times to Auburn's 12, but we out rebounded them 54-31, and that was the difference in this game. And if going into this game with our injuries and you told me we were going to out rebound a big Auburn, I wouldn't have believed it. So just really happy with how we played. Shout out to the two old guys, JJJ and Folky, 9 boards apiece. Really happy to see that, and big win, big win.
Yeah, I know that we were favorites in that game going in, but it's still an unbelievable win over a really, really good Auburn team, which I think honestly probably is maybe, the most talented roster, not only in the SEC, but arguably in the country. One crazy stats I saw is, outside Jabari Smith and KD Johnson, Auburn's roster only scored 17 points, which is crazy to think.
That's insane.
It's wild, right? I mean, literally those two guys were the only reason they kept him in there. I feel like Huntley Hatfield had a really quiet performance. He only had 5 points, but that 3-pointer he had in the second half literally changed everything, the trajectory of that game. And he had 8 rebounds, which I thought was really impressive considering, he was up against Walker Kessler. But, you're talking about Tennessee's big guys grabbed 29 rebounds in that game, which is huge. I mean, it was one of the more – I feel like that second half was probably one of the best offensive performances we've had all season. And I can't even describe enough how incredible that atmosphere was. Like, I've been there for the Arizona game this year and Kentucky, and I feel like I keep on saying this every time I go to a game, but, this was definitely hands down the best atmosphere, not just this year, but probably in the least last 10 years since the Bruce Pearl era.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I'm just going to go ahead and piggyback off of you, Drew, because you brought up pretty much everything I was going to touch on. I was at Arizona, Kentucky, and Auburn, all 3 games. This was by far the loudest and most insane I've ever seen it. You had to stand basically the whole time to see anything. There was no sitting down. Hell, people were even standing up during the halftime show. I was like, y'all are on one today. But I was like, damn. But honestly, I thought, I know you said that you didn't feel like Huntley Hatfield played like a huge game just because he had 5 points, which is true, kind of. But I think he started out really good and had really good energy on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. And then, of course, those 8 rebounds. But I put that in my notes too, that 3 that he knocked down in the second half jump-started the entire comeback. We were down 11 freaking points. I was sitting there. I was nervous as hell. I was like, I was really getting sick because when we turned the ball over back-to-back with that, and then with that inbounds play, and then the lead just kept escalating on Auburn's side, I was like, this is getting ugly. But that 3 from Huntley Hatfield completely changed the dynamic. and then his dunk off of Chandler's layup. I mean, just the energy he brought, I feel like people really got behind him. So that was huge for me. And then also just if we're talking in terms of energy, Ziegler's 3 to tie it up at 39 was huge. It went absolutely insane when that happened. In terms of gameplay, I thought Triple J just had an awesome game and played super physical. This is the type of play that I've wanted him to do all season. He fouled out, so like he used all his fouls, and I think he's really stepping up major in terms of his play on both sides of the ball. I wanted to bring up all of the fouls and just everything that happened in the game. Yeah, Brando, you can go ahead and start.
Call it short. It was ridiculous, to be honest. The fouls were crazy. I was going to piggyback off you and talk about Huntley Hatfield's 3-point shot. That shot, it really did. I had it written down, actually. It ignited a 17-2 run for Tennessee when they ended up winning 76-72. So, kind of getting quiet. You kind of felt like the air was getting sucked out of the building. And then, boom, he hits that 3. But for the foul calls, I was trying to watch as much as I could at work. But some of the calls that I were seeing when I was able to watch, they were really questionable, I felt like. But nothing you can really do is college basketball. You got to just play to our advantage, and they did that. They got the job done. They didn't let the momentum swift, of the Bruce Pearl defense get in their head, which I thought was really huge.
That officiating in the first half was just absolutely abysmal. I feel like Vescovi couldn't get a foul at all to save his life,
None.
Even some of the offensive calls that they called, I think there was one specifically with Fulkerson up there near the end of the first half that was just, it was like beyond absurd. And but I feel like we're saying the same thing every single weekend though when it comes to these SEC refs for basketball. Especially from the last Arkansas game too. It's just they gotta do something about it. I don't know if there's a better test they do to qualify these guys. They gotta do something though, because this is just. It's getting ridiculous.
It's not just basketball either. Let's not act like we didn't have a football season that was just filled with awful officiating with ACC and
I feel like that's
crews.
just a given though. As part of the game of football, you're going to have that element of the just god awful refs.
Yeah.
I feel like they can at least improve on it a little bit.
Well, basketball is such a smaller freaking area.
5-on-5
use, less players and way less area to cover. And you can take an official review pretty easily. So, which on top of that, I didn't know this at all because it was so loud in TBA. But when I went back and rewatched this game, they gave Fulkerson 3 fouls and then somehow reviewed them and took 2 of them away from him. And I never even knew that.
Somehow Vescovi ended up with a foul because the refs knew. I guess they did such a terrible job that all right. Vescovi ended up being Vescovi's foul, but it was originally John Fulkerson charged with the foul. It was just terrible that whole first half of that game.
It was so ass backwards, and I'm sure they knew because that place was rolling.
Oh yeah,
3 solid minutes after that Fulkerson call. That was just ridiculous, and I was on the opposite end of the court, so I was just confused on what the hell was going on. When I saw the replay, I was just like, "This is absurd." God. And then, Vescovi literally hit the court 6 times. And then when he went on that layup in the first half and he got absolutely taken out and everyone just kept playing, I was just like, what is going on? And I don't know, anyone who follows me on Twitter, I tweeted out that I think anytime we get a prior coach of ours that comes, that we get the shittiest ref assignment. Just because they're going to see us do the worst, act the worst, throw all the mustard, which I'm sure people were ready to in the first half of that game. But to each their own. I wanted to talk about defense too. I think that's in the second half. That was the best defensive performance I've seen them play all year. I don't know about you guys, but.
I think you go back to the fact that we literally held down Walker Kessler to 8 points. For me, I don't think there's words to describe like how incredible that is, especially considering, we're missing easily our best center with Kamwa, and the fact that, Adu and Huntley Hatfield, who are just two true freshmen that just got thrown into the fire, quite honestly, for the last 4 weeks, for them to step up against arguably the best center in college basketball it was incredible. I mean, there's no other way to describe it.
Yeah, pretty much what I was going to touch on earlier, and I forgot to mention, but that goes with that is like Brandon Huntley Hatfield and Jonas Idu. They're kind of finally playing to like their size potential down low with the competition, I feel like, and you're kind of seeing them like make more plays and be sturdier on their feet, acting like they belong on the court, which is really good to see like this late into the year before the tournament time. But I was just like really impressed because like you look at the stat line and they might not have like 4 points and maybe 1 block or a couple steals, but they're down there, down low, getting physical and, holding a guy like Walker to like only 11 points or whatever it was. Like, that's just insane.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And on top of that, I mean, during Auburn's scoring drought, it was absolutely suffocating. Like when they forced that trap in the corner, they couldn't do anything, had to take a timeout, and then had a shot clock violation. Like that was freaking awesome. Yeah. And honestly, for multiple minutes, every time Auburn would come down the court, it literally just looked like they could not figure out what to do. Literally suffocating is what I would describe it as. And part of I know we haven't got to this yet, but I think that might be, they played so hard in that game defensively. I think we were so tired. That's what led into Georgia and us kind of being off last night. That's my 2 cents. But I also wanted to add, I forgot to give a shout out to Euros as well. I think that was his best game of the season. I mean, he put up 7 rebounds and 6 points in 15 minutes, and he was just actually really being a presence and moving off the ball and doing things that I was never a Euros hater, but I never expected that type of contributions from him. So I just wanted to give him a shout out for sure in that game. Let's see. Anything else in particular from the Auburn game?
It's not game wise, but things I wanted to touch on that I had was the Vescovi with the cowboy hat, Fulkerson leading the band with Rocky Top, and Tony Vitello and Zakai Ziegler's moment without them knowing that they were having a moment.
All of those were great. If you want the most negative thing, it was definitely Bruce Pearl's titty sweat that no one could miss.
Oh, God.
I even saw that from row 15, 330. Like, it was disgusting. It was awful.
His daughter's tweets after the game. She's still tweeting today, too, about us. It's kind of funny.
It's very embarrassing.
It is. Honestly, that's so embarrassing because I hate when people feel like we owe them something. Like, we don't owe you shit.
Like,
I don't understand.
He was an incredible coach for us, but he's literally the reason why he got himself fired. Like, I'm not going to feel sorry for the guy. Like,
well, honestly, just also quit being a pussy, in my opinion. If you go to an away team's stadium or whatever, or arena.
Dance on their logo. Paint their rock.
And who even knows what she was saying? Like, oh, I'm sure she sat there silent the entire time and didn't speak a word. Like,
the Pearl family not causing a problem.
Yeah, there's 2 sides to every story, but my God, grow a pair. I mean, I'm sick of people just out here acting like they aren't going to get some shit. When I went to Kentucky, I got yelled at, called names, etc. But I deserve that too because I also got up on stage and chanted at a bar, so I knew what was coming. But that was a little bit ridiculous on her part.
Yeah, I think she said today, let's see if this team gets mad that we dance on their logo or where we dance. And I'm like, we're moving past that. Tennessee basketball is doing much more important things today, like having a good moment, and you're over here like having some negative. Yeah, just no.
That's why you just got to tell her, be like, sweetheart, just focus on trying to get a win tonight, okay? Like, don't be focused on the hater stuff.
Which, that game affects us in SEC play. I think there's a way that we can all like have a 4-way tie. I'm not sure the logistics. Not a math expert, but there's a way.
I think if they lose either tonight or to South Carolina, I think we get, it's like a 4-way tie for an SEC championship. So,
God, that's crazy.
We need Mississippi State to win tonight badly.
Hang the damn banner.
Exactly. I'm all for it. I don't care for sharing titles. That's fine. Title's a title.
No, I don't care either. I mean, my God, as hard as the SEC is this year, I do not care to share that, especially when mid-season I was concerned about if we were even going to make the NCAA.
Yeah, facts.
I mean, there is no reason to complain there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. All right. Anything else? I guess you guys already touched on the rebounds. 54-31, 21 offensive rebounds. And I already talked about us sealing the double bye in the SEC tournament. But, I mean, we mentioned pretty much everyone who played. Vescovi, we forgot to mention KC. He put in 33 minutes. So, shit ton of minutes. 13.
Yeah, I had Zakai Ziegler in his 13 points. 11 of them came in the second half when we had that like slow stretch and that crazy run. A lot of those were free throws that he hit late, really was the difference. I was going to say, like, if you told me that we were going to shoot 33% and turn it over 18 times and win by like almost 10 points at home against Auburn like that, I wouldn't have believed it. But.
Not a chance. And since you mentioned free throws, I mean, Vescovi has come in. They said he was one of the best in the country in clutch time free throws, like in the last 4 minutes. I think he was somewhere at 90% or above, which is so huge. I feel like we haven't had someone like that in years to be able to count on. So big steps for us. I will say, closing out on this specific game, the biggest problem that I saw was us getting the ball in on the press at the end. We almost totally shot ourselves in the foot there. If I was any team in the SEC or really in the country who would be thinking about playing us, I would definitely be thinking about that full court press early. So we need to really work on that and get creative with getting the ball in, or that's going to cause us some problems.
Yeah, I was nervous we were about to have a full-on Conzo Martin like meltdown in the second. We were kept on our hit up there.
I mean, credit to Bruce Pearl. That's what he does best on that late game defense when being down like that. He's known for that pressing defense. I think it was just a situational thing, kind of like with the feelings of a big matchup like that. Until further evidence, I won't see it as a problem for us, but hopefully, it doesn't occur again in like the tournament or something. So,
yeah.
For sure. All right. So we are going to go on into the Georgia game. And one of our listeners put this question out, so I'm just going to start out with it so I don't forget. He said, what do you guys think about Georgia coach giving KC pointers after the game? I was not aware that happened. Did you guys know that?
Yeah, I saw the video make its way on Twitter. I've heard of like a lot of takes, like you're about to get fired. Why are you coaching up like a lottery pick that's been, having his best basketball late in the season while you just lost at home with like a 1-15 SEC record. But at the same time, like coaches are going to coach regardless of, what people think. I think he was just trying to help the kid out. Maybe he might know him from like the Georgia area, or maybe just, give him a little pointer or something he might have saw. I don't take too much into it unless like, more was to happen or he was just trying to do too much. But he didn't seem like an extra guy. There's a lot of coaches that will try to be about themselves, but I didn't think anything of it.
I thought it was a little weird. Like when I first saw it last night, it was just really random and like bizarre. But like I've read the backstory of like he was like teaching him like a better technique on how to shoot his free throws, which he needs desperately. Yeah. I mean, he's easily the worst guard that we have on shooting the free throw. But yeah, I mean, like he coached several years at Indiana, coached a bunch of players in the NBA. He really knows. I mean, he's a good coach basketball. It's just Georgia's an absolute dumpster fire on trying to succeed over there. So, yeah, I mean, I don't have an issue at the end. It was kind of weird though.
I mean, I wish I saw it because now I don't get the context of it. I can just hear what you guys said. So I'm going to have to go back and look at it. I can't really answer the question, but I mean, if KC doesn't have a problem with it, I don't think we should.
Yeah.
So, okay, so last night we had a very ugly start at Georgia. Final score was 75-68. But I always say that an ugly win is still a win. Mm-hmm. And definitely last night was a trap game. I was a little nervous just because I didn't know this at the time, but we hadn't even won in Georgia in several years. And for us to be a 16-point favorite as in a trap game, I didn't like that at all. Definitely thought that it was going to cause us some problems. So I don't know. Brando, take it away with your first takes.
Yeah, we kind of touched on it last segment, but about how leading into this game, you knew it was going to be a trap game just because how we came off against Auburn. Only 2 days of rest. They're probably used to like 3 or 4, then having to go play down there in Athens, Georgia, in an away game where it's, in the SEC, it's been hard to win in the SEC, but luckily no one in Athens showed up to the game, so we were good. But I really wanted to touch on how we had way less turnovers in the Auburn game, but it was like way sloppier basketball, just kind of what you had saw earlier in the year, waiting to get that spark from somebody just to kind of show up. And luckily it did come from Triple J. He had 23 points with a career high, 8 assists, 10 boards, two assists off shot from the triple-double. That would have been like a crazy stat. Also having Kennedy Chandler, not doing much, passing, but 16 points is still 16 points for the team. Really showing up. Hasn't really had a silent game lately, so I was really happy with that. And Lowe gave a shout out to Euros last segment, but I'm going to give it to him this segment. He had like 17 minutes, 8 assists. Not 8. Yeah, 8 assists. It says 8 assists, 10 boards. So something crazy, like doing really good. I thought Euros played well, getting a lot of boards down low, playing physical ball. I didn't really think that Georgia had a presence down low. And I was really like happy to see how Euros and Fulkerson kind of took advantage of that and got big down low. And talking about Fulkerson, like he finally showed up, 12 points, clutch points. I felt like in the game, like deep in the game, taking advantage of his size, something you haven't seen all year. So thought that was good to see. Good all around win. Glad we pulled it out, but it sure was ugly.
Oh yeah, I mean that game was the definition of ugly. But one of the craziest things is that y'all are not going to believe this, but the last head coach that Tennessee had that won at Georgia was Bruce Pearl in 2011. Like,
oh my God,
it's hard to believe, man. I mean, like, especially some of the decent teams that we've had in the last 10 years. He was the last guy to do it. But Triple J had a career high. As Brando mentioned, 23 points, shot 66% from the field. I mean, one of the best performances he's had this season easily, and especially his career. 86% from the free throw line, especially as close as that game was at halftime and, the start of the second half, like that was huge. And I mean, they're doing so much better defensively, rebound opponents 39-28. So it's a trap game. It was awful. It was hideous, but first win in 10 years at Georgia. I'll take that any day of the week.
Absolutely. I mean, we keep hammering down on Triple J, but he's really breaking out. I mean, back-to-back huge games for him. Really needed someone to come through. And another thing I really wanted to touch on was, of course, we all know about the Ziegler situation, which we'll get to in a minute. But this was the first time that he has had an off night since being such a huge contributor. And that just shows how important he is to making this whole team work, because imagine if Triple J did not show up like he did, we would have lost that damn game. So with Ziegler, having a rough game or having an off game, I think he only had 2 points. It was really great to see Triple J come through and step it up. The other thing I wanted to say is that, what was I going to say? Oh, Fulkerson, yeah, that was huge. But we still had 12 turnovers in Georgia, which isn't great. We had 18 against Auburn, so I guess that's a little bit of an improvement. But some of them were just stupid little turnovers that I wasn't a fan of. Looks like we had lost Brando, but I'm going to add him back as I was just rambling on. Welcome back, Brando.
You can't make it up 2 weeks in a row.
I know. And now you're like in blackout mode.
Yeah, I'm in a full dark out. I don't know what just happened. Like full blackout. I don't even know. But
Oh my God.
Full blackout mode. Yeah, you're just like a floating crystal ball now.
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah.
I don't know where I was at. I kind of got confused with my notes. Something about turnovers.
Yeah, I mean, like 12 turnovers, obviously much better improvement from 18 from last Saturday, but the first half was just really sloppy basketball, but I think that was kind of expected, especially how big of an emotional win it was for us last Saturday against Auburn. But, one of the things about this team that's different, I feel like, than a lot of other Tennessee teams under Rick Barnes is like when one guy's having an off night like Ziegler, there always seems like one person that steps up, whether if it's Triple J or Vescovi or Kennedy Chandler. I mean, even like last night, like Huntley Hatfield and Adu they were okay, but then you had Folky over there who was grabbed 12 boards as well. So
yeah.
I think that's a huge trait that this team has, which will help them a lot come in the conference tournament. And, you're starting to see a lot of these guys, too. They're just getting, especially our big men, where they're only scoring 6 or 7 points. But when they're getting 5, 6, 7, 8 rebounds as well each, that's like a huge, it's a game changer. It really is.
Oh, complete game changer. I mean, I don't remember seeing this type of rebounding and stuff ever on it. I mean, in several years since I've been closely following basketball. And that's what I was complaining about the most in the beginning and midway through the season. So what a turnaround. They must have really been working on that in practice. I'm sure they were specifically listening to my opinion on the podcast.
Of course.
Brando, go ahead.
Yeah, just kind of touching on what you were saying earlier. They both shot 44%, but ultimately out rebounding and out free throw shooting late with Ziegler and Vescovi clutch in these games, like it's making the difference, which is huge. I feel like so. Just really proud to get the win. It would have been ugly to have such a huge win and then go and lose to Georgia in front of like 500. I feel like so that would have been awful. I feel like the crowd was kind of getting into it, and they were like only down 5 points. So kind of make them tone down a little bit, remind them where they're at.
Sorry, Brando, but I think your audio kind of cut out a lot on that one.
I thought that was well said.
Was it just me? Maybe it's just my side.
No, it was cutting off from mine as well. I was just being a smart ass.
Shit. Probably because he connected with his.
What?
I think you're gonna have to, Brando. I think you'd have to disconnect maybe again, and I'll add you back. We cannot get through one of these without some technical difficulties, man. It's kind of cracking me up.
It makes it at least entertaining.
It is. It is entertaining because it's live, so we can't do shit about it. What else? Oh, we actually shot. So Georgia actually outshot us from the field. They shot 44.8% to our 44.3%. And we only shot 32% from the 3-point line. So you mentioned it, 86.7% on our free throws was pretty much the game changer. I mean, if we wouldn't have done that, then we probably would have lost.
Yeah. Without the 86% free throw from the free throw line and out rebounding 39-28, and obviously Triple J having a career best, we would have lost to Georgia again, as unexcusable as that is.
God, another thing I did, I just remembered I wanted to talk about. When we switched to zone defense, we looked atrocious. I mean, we weren't even covering anyone. They were just going right down the middle. Like everyone was frozen. And I don't know. I'm just totally speculating. But as I mentioned earlier, I think that they were probably extremely tired from their defensive performance against Auburn. And maybe they thought, oh, we'll just switch to zone because this should be your team to handle. And it about bit us in the ass.
Yeah, I mean, it really did. I mean, because we don't play zone defense that often. And when we do, it's just it's awful to watch. One of the other things I noticed was that did you notice Plavsic try to take a charge 3 or 4 times at one point yesterday? What is the guy doing? like I understand like you're trying to make a play, but like, buddy, like you're 7 foot, 250 pounds. Like just be physical over there. I mean, there was one point in the second half where it was a guard that was literally 5'9", maybe 5'10", and Plavsic is over there trying to take a charge. Like I don't know who's telling him that, but they gotta quit that immediately because that was horrible to watch.
That is so true.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here like, what in the hell? Oh, Brando just texted me and said his power went out. You cannot make this shit up.
Oh my gosh. Poor guy's struggling.
Oh my God. Makes me struggle bus. So I guess no internet, probably no more Brando. So
Tough.
I guess it's just us two. And he had big news again. You weren't on here last week and Brando had shit to talk about. Then the podcast or his thing went out. And now he had big shit to talk about. And here we are.
Well, next Wednesday's show is just going to be a huge news segment for Brando. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's just Brando giving all of his old news in the last 2 weeks. He was going to bring up the Zakai Ziegler thing, so I feel like we absolutely have to bring that up. The announcers mentioned that his family home, had burnt down. I think it was the 28th of February, so super recent, and everyone caught on immediately. I mean, they didn't even make it that big of a deal, but everyone just kind of picked up on it. And of course, as Vol Nation does, everyone jumped right on it to help. I just thought it was really a really cool thing. It doesn't surprise me at all that everyone wanted to contribute. I was about to look up how much has actually been contributed at this point. Let's see.
I want to say it's like I think it's over $150.
I know it's over 200,000.
Over 200,000 now. Oh my gosh.
I want a live update real quick. Okay, here it is. $264,650 in 5 hours.
Oh my Lord.
5 hours. And I also wanted to read out this update, which has been kind of a controversial thing on Twitter, like everything is for Vol fans on Twitter. Zakai, I assume it's Zakai, put in the message on the GoFundMe page. We have absolutely been blown away by the outpouring of support and generosity. Any contributions above and beyond our final losses/expenses will be donated to charity. Thank you to everyone who has given. And their goal was $50,000. Now, half of Twitter is like, dude, why can't he just take it? Everyone wants the family to have it. And then the other half is like, oh, he has to because of rules. Do you have any specific opinion on that?
It seems like everything else on social media, people just want to find things to complain about. I mean, with the first thing, I mean, it just shows once again why this is the best fan base, not in just college football, but just all of sports in general. I mean, I was looking at work today, and literally within 20 minutes, they were already donated $30,000, which is just, it's insane. Like, it's crazy. And the thing that's over $250,000 now within 5 hours is just, it just speaks volumes for this, for this fan base. And I'm sure David Ubben is just hating every minute of it without a doubt.
God, seriously. I mean, I if I were him, I would just like mute every Vol fan possible in my mentions because his ass gets tagged more times per day when I log on than I've seen anybody get tagged in a long time, and he deserves it. I mean, seriously, his rant was pathetic, and it will always stay in our hearts. I'm sure he will get mentions for like the next 20 years.
You would think like he would maybe just like make an apology at this point with like the amount of like harassment that he felt from this fan base in the last 4 months.
I really think that he truly believes like every word he wrote in that article is like reasonable, which I mean, some people can believe that and it's his opinion, but I just think it's stupid. Like, why can't he should at least, he doesn't even have to apologize, but at least make a new article about, damn, this is cool. Look at how much UT has donated.
Yeah.
And wow, what a great turnaround. I mean, he just doesn't give a shit. He doesn't want to touch us anymore, but that's fine. I guess people can't change or evolve. So
Yeah. Or they don't want to admit they're wrong at something. That's a huge problem a lot of people have these days. So
that's true. I agree with that. I mean, I've been wrong like a billion times. I don't care to be honest when I've said something or done something wrong. To each their own.
Oh,
Oh, got off topic. Let's see. Main thing was, I guess we just won. I'm pleased that we won. And then we don't have much rest in between Saturday's game either, is another thing that kind of concerns me. It's like 3 really quick games back to back. They should be ready for that at this point, but still, I'm just a little bit worried about Saturday's game. Do you think that we stay perfect at home this season?
I mean, that's just a part of playing the SEC. Is like you get every game at home is a tough game, whether if you're even playing Georgia, Vanderbilt, whomever. I mean, and Arkansas is no exception. Arkansas is a really, really good basketball team. But I mean, it is going to be senior day, and it's going to be Checker Thompson Bowling Arena, which that atmosphere is going to be just as crazy, if not even more chaotic than last Saturday, which would be hard to believe. But apparently ESPN's got us as an 83% chance of winning on Saturday, which I thought was a little bit, a little too optimistic for me. But with the SEC championship implications and everything, I mean, I like our shot. We're looking to go undefeated for the first time at home since that Grant and Admiral team in 2018 and 2019. And this is a crazy stat that I found today. This would only be the 4th time since 1976 that we went undefeated at home. So,
holy shit.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so 45 years have only been undefeated 3 times at home, which twice under Bruce and that Grant Williams team under Rick Barnes.
Yeah, what I really like is that we could potentially, I mean, I don't really care about, I want them to win, but the streak factor is just a cool addition. Like, I mean, they could carry that into next year, and how cool would that be, to really get a fire under next year's team. But I'm a little nervous, and then I'm kind of pissed off because I don't really have much to compare it to because I forgot to record the first Arkansas game that was like a total shit show, and then ESPN was glitching, and so I only got to see like 10 minutes of that game. So I don't have anything to compare to, and I haven't sat around and watched Arkansas play, so I don't know what to expect. But I will say that – sorry, I got a pop-up on my computer. It scared me. Oh, no. Oh, wow. Okay. We're good. I will say that everything you mentioned, Checker TBA, senior night. Oh, my God. Brando's back.
We got
the man, the myth, the legend is back. I'm in my car.
Oh, you're in your car? Hello?
We did
Hello?
have him back.
Check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, my God. I'm in my car.
This has been absolutely hysterical. You cannot make this up.
One for the people.
Definitely. Imagine the people that listen on Spotify and they aren't watching. They're probably like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they have a visual react to it. And they're like, what? Why does his laptop mess up every week?
They're always like, why does Lauren just keep going rogue explaining that Brando's always
gone? Alex is AFK. Brando's laptop is fried. Where are we? Saturday? On Saturday?
I was just talking about, I had asked Drew, and I was right in the middle of my thoughts on if we stay perfect at home this season and this Saturday. I'm going to go with Drew, and I'm going to say yes, but it's going to be very close.
Mm-hmm.
And just my thoughts. I think Ziegler is going to have his best game of the year this Saturday. I don't know why. I have a feeling he's going to bounce back from all the shit that's happened and the tragedy with his family. He's going to bounce back, and I think he'll have the best game of the season. Calling it now.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with y'all. I think we stay perfect at home on the season. I think it's really hard, no matter who you are, how good you are, to go in someone else's house and to have a perfect game and beat them like you play, just like we did play in Arkansas the last time. I feel like it was one of our worst games in a while, but that's what happens when you go on the road in the SEC. I think it'd be the perfect story for Zakai to have like his kind of crazy game to end the year off after not only has the tragedy been happening, but he's been playing injured. He hasn't been practicing the last 2 weeks. A lot of people don't know. Since the Auburn game, he has like a knee, a little injury. So he's, taking it easy, just, playing with the team and, go out there and put his body on the line and still play as a freshman when you're going through so much at home, plus off the court. Like, I just think it's bound to happen. So I think the guard play will be key. Uh, Checkerboard and TBA, that's going to be cool. I don't know if y'all noticed that, but if you are going to the game, check your zone, get checkered in, wear orange and white, be loud, be rowdy, and I think we're going to get it done.
I did not know that Zakai was injured. I wanted to read a few of our listeners' comments on here. At All Things Vol 1, he said, odds makers have been spot on about this team all year. If they call a win, put your money on it. Let's see, at Brian Young _5 said Ziggy is about to go off. And at Vol Nation 85 said lots of emotion Saturday. Hogs play through JD, controlled JD, and it's game over. So, very good takes. And also, if you're listening, we love you guys and comment whatever, and I'll try to make sure I see them. Give you guys some shout outs on here. But I this injury, that was a surprise to me, Brando. Also, while I'm thinking about it, we already touched on, since you've been gone, we already touched on the Zakai house fire. We gave an update. Did you have other stuff that you wanted to talk about?
What was Zakai?
Or just in general, like with Zakai or anything in that section of the podcast before we move forward?
No, I just think it's a really good thing, what we all came out and did in the span of like 2 hours. That's a freaking $250,000 now, which is insane. Absolutely insane by Vol Nation and everyone else involved. I know it's not all just Vol Nation. It's a lot of other fan bases helping out and chipping in, but it's mostly us. And I think it's really key to do that, not only just NIL and money things, but, showing people that we care and we're not just that rowdy, nasty fan base like Auburn just came in and tried to claim we are. Like, not even a week later, here we are. When it matters, we show up, and I think that's key as a fan base. I'm happy to be a part of it and something that big, and just really, really good to see. Really good for Tennessee on their part and everything, and I just hope the best for his family.
I love it.
I didn't also know that Zakai's mom was raising his special needs niece, and they lost a lot of equipment, and that stuff is really not cheap. So not only are they looking for a home, but just equipment to live and be normal, really key. And I hope they get everything they need. So
I hope they do too. With you bringing that up real quick, Drew and I talked about it. What do you think about? Do you think, I guess, fair or not fair, whatever, but half of Twitter was divided between two. It's so ridiculous that they can't keep all the money after they reach their goal. What do you feel about all that? Do you have any specific opinions?
I mean, it's just the way how the rules they're written so weird. In my opinion, everyone's opinion, it should probably be able to keep the money. If you're not a Tennessee fan, you're not going to want that. You're going to think it's like an extra benefit that they're doing too much. And I think people need to understand where Zakai came from. This house that he lost, he didn't have it very long. And before that, Zakai and his family, in a whole, didn't have much to begin with. So, I think it's a really big important that they do get their house back and do get back on their feet, and a lot of money does go to them. But for a Tennessee standpoint, they probably will have to get rid of the rest. But I want to make sure that their family's taken care of before you try to go take away. Because I mean, $250,000, that's a lot of money. But the cost of living ain't cheap in America. It's
No.
expensive these days. You know, that's not even probably for a full house. You know, not only that, but equipment, like you said. So as a Vols fan, I think they deserve everything just because you know what they've went through and knowing them. But if you're on the outside looking in, I see why you want to be like, no.
100%. Well, that's why I was so shocked, and I was trying to read into the fine print just a little bit. And of course, I have no answers. I don't want anyone to take what I say, but like the goal was 50,000, but there's no way that would cover everything. So I was reading the details, and it was like the cost of everything lost and like what they're going to need cannot be calculated at this time, of course. So I guess it'll be tentative moving forward. I wish they could get all of it. Like, I fully believe they deserve it. But like you guys said, rules are rules, but I wish they could get all of it.
I think, not to cut you off, I think Trey Wallace is talking about it, and he said that they put that in the GoFundMe for a reason. You know, the goal was 50,000, but you know, it's probably going to be a lot more than just $50,000 that they need as a whole as a family.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I know that it took a couple of days. It didn't come out straight after. Like the fire happened, I think, last weekend, and they just got it out today because of like NCAA stuff, having to go to logistics and everything. Like UT had to be the ones to put it out and back it all and stuff like that. So I think they're trying to do everything.
I think you're getting cut off again. Oh no. Brando, I think we lost you again. Yeah, I guess so. We'll add you back or unmute you when you can come back. All right. So back to what we were talking about. We all are picking Vols to win Saturday, but we're doing our score predictions. So I guess, Drew, go ahead and give yours for Saturday against Arkansas at home.
Okay. I'll say we'll probably win this game for 73-69. Will be Kenny Chandler and Sakai. And then do a little hot take. Huntley Hatfield is going to get double figures. So this will be his first 10 points.
Hot take. I think you cut out on your prediction. I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
Okay. 73-69 Tennessee.
Oh, what the hell? I've said 73-68 Tennessee. We are right on the money. Yeah. I said, Zakai Ziegler, I think he's going to get his biggest game of the year. Big that game. Huge deal for him. I like the Huntley Hatfield take. I might jump on the train there. I would love to see him get double figures. He continues to get better each week. So I'm going to jump on that too, double figures for Huntley Hatfield. And I am apologizing to everyone because I don't know what keeps happening to Brando. Power outages, computer hacks, something else happened. So poor Brando.
Poor guy can't catch a break.
He can't. He cannot catch a break. All right. Also, before we go on to baseball, I am still looking for 2 tickets Saturday that are not like $300 a piece. I don't care where they are. I will pay for them 100%. Even if they're over asking price, I just don't want to pay $300 or something for a ticket. So if anyone has 2, I'm looking for 2 and try to get me there because I would love to go. But I guess moving on, I've been a really crappy baseball fan, but I just have a little bit for baseball, but I hope you have more.
Yeah. No, I got you covered. I was actually at the game last night, so
perfect.
It was actually a really good atmosphere, surprisingly, for like a cold Tuesday night. I mean, I would say there was probably over 2,500 people there. But easily the worst offensive performance they had all season last night, but they still won 4-1. But good Lord, though, this team is like absurd. I mean, we've scored 121 runs in 8 games, which is, I mean, we're averaging over 22 runs a game, which is just absurd. And I've only given up 7 this entire season. So this team might be better than last year's, which is like honestly hard to believe. Oh, has Brenda finally got his power back?
Apparently, that's what he said. So he might be popping up again.
There we go.
Oh man. Let's see. I don't know if this is true after last night's game, but Mike Wilson on Twitter said that the Vols were number 1 in batting average, home runs, slugging, walks, and OBPs in the nation. Number 1 in the nation. I don't know if that's still accurate or not, but if it's not, then they're pretty damn close still because they couldn't have fallen that far behind.
They got 5 guys batting over 400 this year, which is just like insane.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at these scores like 29-0, 27-1. Like, what the hell is that? This is unheard of.
In fairness, though, Iona is terrible. I think they started off the year with a 24-0 loss to Old Dominion, so they're not the best of opponents, but anytime you score over 25 runs in a game, it's pretty impressive.
No shit. I mean, 100%. Brando's back for his 3rd time in the hour.
Should have killed me when you had the chance, as Conor McGregor said. I'm back. I guess for once to baseball.
Yeah.
Oh God. Hopefully we're good. The power's back. The connection is god awful in Tennessee on a 77 beautiful day in Middle Tennessee, so makes no sense. But yeah, really proud of our baseball team. 7-0. I know it's been, against mid opponents, but to score as many like runs as you did, I think it was like 117-7. I think it's now 124-8 or something like that. Like absolutely destroying teams on the diamond. Really crazy to see. Trey Lipscomb having a crazy hot bat combined with like our crazy pitching. Going into the season, you thought you were going to have so much loss and turnover, and I've been really happy to kind of see the guys just leading off where they started.
100%. I feel like I freaking keep saying that. It's pissing me off. I keep saying that. God. I think we're 8-0, right?
Yeah, we're 8-0.
We're 7-0, 8-0 counting the Tennessee Tech game that got delayed, but Coach Vitello earlier announced on the radio, on Fan Run Radio, that game is not going to be continued. We're actually going to replace it with a new game, a full 9-inning game. So have a new game somewhere later in the year. I know we touched on that last week, asking like what they would do. So there's our answer from Coach.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
I was going to say, while we're talking about baseball, I actually have more tickets to give away, and I was going to see March 11th, Friday, versus Rhode Island will be our next giveaway. So if you're listening, look out on our page because we will have 4 more tickets for that game to give away, courtesy of an awesome listener who is out of state and just can't make it. So I'm loving these giveaways. I think it's really fun. I think all these people are enjoying some free tickets. So,
cool. Shout out to that Josh who won recently. I know he was trying to win from the start since we first started. So finally won him one.
Yeah.
Got to go. I saw they showed love on the timeline to the ATB crew. So I thought that was kind of neat to see. Definitely enjoy giving out some free tickets, and those seats deserve to be filled,
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And I was going to say, I would almost like to do, I kind of want to, we have like this giveaway and I think 2 more for certain. And I would like to do something kind of different with one of them. So it just kind of popped in my head. I want to brainstorm a little bit and change it up for one of those and get people to interact more. But regardless, they will all be given away. Big weekend, though, for baseball because the competition has not been like up to par really at all. We're playing Texas, who put us out last year. and everyone remembers how controversial that was. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you. You know, playing competition in Iona, they're decent teams in their division, but when you play a team like Texas, you're two teams that just went to Omaha. You have the whole UT, persona thing. Who's the real UT? There's smoke between these teams. You know, they're eventually joining the SEC. So I feel like this game has a lot of meaning than a lot of people will expect. It's a really late game, 8 p.m. first pitch. Coach announced that Chase Burns will begin the start for pitching. So really happy to see that kind of big talent, like how he does against a true, really good team like Texas. You know, he's only been having Georgia Southern, and I think he got in the Tech game like just 2 days ago. So really big test for the guys. You know, they've been pitching phenomenal, but you're gonna have guys that are hot on the bat and ready to pitch, and it's gonna be a really big game.
Yeah, I mean, Texas right now is the #1 team in the country, so I think this is probably about as good of a test as you're going to get to see how good this team is. I mean, but this is definitely not been the best competition so far. But Georgia Southern beat Georgia Tech the other night, which is a top 25 team. So they're not Iona bad, but they're still they're a decent team. But Friday will be a great test. This whole entire weekend will be, especially playing against Baylor and Oklahoma. Play a lot of good, talented Big 12 teams, and then you get yourself ready come April for SEC play. I mean, I'm excited. It should be great to watch this weekend.
Do either of y'all? I'm putting you guys on the spot, but does anyone have kind of a scouting report in terms of who all Texas has lost or who all they're returning?
I'll be honest, no, I do not. So,
oh my God, I don't either. Again. Can y'all hear me?
Slightly.
Okay, I'm joining on my laptop. Okay, I might disconnect.
Okay. Oh no.
Okay, add me.
All right. Oh wow. Okay.
That was quick.
Okay. Yeah, Texas, they haven't really lost anyone tremendous. I was listening to the drive. Not a numbers and a names guy, but I know that they said that they haven't really lost anyone on the pitching standpoint. I saw someone sharing a clip of their pitching lately, and it was like a filthy, nasty pitch. You're not going to be getting 70, 80 mile an hour fastballs like you have against Iona and Georgia Southern from their freshman guys that obviously aren't on your talent base. Like these are pro guys that are going to be in the draft with your guys in the next 2 years. So I think it's our biggest key test. Only thing I'm mad about is that it's not in Lindsey Nelson because I just imagine how rowdy that place would be. But I know that Texas as a whole, they do enjoy our baseball, and I know a lot of fans have traveled there, so expect to see a lot of the good orange down there. I think we have an advantage when it comes to pitching with our guys. I think our rotation this year might benefit better than our rotation when we met them in Omaha, even though they're younger. I just think that Burns in the first game, and if he does good and gets you through like 5 or 6 innings before Dollander comes in, like that's going to be really good. I think if you can, sacrifice maybe 1 or 2 runs in those innings, like you have a really good chance of beating the #1 team in the country.
Very good. I'm so glad that you had that because I definitely put everyone on the spot. I didn't have it, but Brando coming in after all the technical difficulties to save the day.
All the L's, we take a W.
Yeah. Well, so just a huge game for basketball, baseball all weekend long. I'm really excited, and it's also just going to be freaking beautiful, at least in Tennessee. I don't know about Texas weather, but it's perfect weather for the Vols to just sweep everything, make us all happy. And then we have the SEC tournament to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be huge. I'm so excited for that. Does anyone else have any other closing thoughts?
Yeah, I'm excited. I think the women's tournament's here soon, not too long in Nashville or somewhere, and then the men's tournament's in Miami. I know Alex mentioned he's gonna try to go to that one, so hopefully, it's a good showing out. Everyone shows out all around. I've been saying that Tennessee athletics is on the rise, even basketball and baseball, and if we can show up, get rowdy, and show them that we're not just a good team at home, that we can win on the road and go on the road and show up and support our guys. I think that'll be huge.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of the best times of the year as far as college sports goes, with the end of this regular season for college basketball, conference tournaments. March Madness starts in a couple of weeks. And then you also got, like, slowly to the beginning of conference play for college baseball as well. I mean, it's gonna be a fun month. I mean, a lot of great weekend games for baseball. Tennessee Arkansas is gonna be huge on Saturday. Hopefully be sharing 1/4 of the conference title. So
1/4,
should be a good time.
I love it. Yeah, like best time of the year, kind of by far. I've really gotten into basketball and baseball the past few years, and I'm always happier as a person when we're like in spring or about at spring, approaching summer. That's like my favorite time of the year. And then sports, all of the sports, it's like every night you have something coming up. So it's my favorite time of the year. I love it. Can't complain. I just hope that we come out with, I like you said, though, with baseball, we have some tough competition all weekend. If I did have to pick one game for baseball, I hope they beat Texas. They deserve to beat them after last year and the whole rivalry. I just really think that's important. But hopefully basketballs and baseballs both come out on top. And I guess we are signing off. Oh, before I forget, I want us to tweet the link for Zakai's donation, the GoFundMe link. So we'll link that on our Twitter page, on the Vols ATB page, and then I guess we are done for the evening. So,
do you want to do the football stuff?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh, I forgot.
Okay.
So many times, man.
I know, right? I'm here and I'm gone. But last week we closed it out after my last technical difficulty last week. I mentioned we were mentioning the wide receiver coach, and we're still here. It's still ongoing, but it's kind of closing out. David Johnson at Florida State has decided to stay at Florida State because of, I think, his kids are kind of close to graduating. So it's kind of down to what's his name? Kerry Dixon from Georgia Tech, the wide receiver coach there, who was at Florida for a couple years, was once ranked a top 25 recruiter by 24/7. Ended up, after the Dan Mullen thing, kind of ended up at Georgia Tech. And then it's Kelsey Pope, who's the offensive analyst at Tennessee currently, was there with Coach Burns, has been with Heupel since UCF. Really up and coming guy. They kind of highlight him as, you got to be joking that you can hear me, right?
Now, but like you
yeah, I know it is trying to go away again. Okay, no, we're good, but I'm gonna get it done quick. Okay, yeah, Kelsey Pope probably gonna end up being our wide receiver coach by tomorrow. Big March 5th weekend with Nico coming in. He's bringing his friend Jordan Anderson, a 2024 receiver. I expect Tennessee to do everything they can and try to lock them down as a duo, even though they're a year apart. They're kind of a package deal, and if we can get Nico on campus, that's a 5-star quarterback, number 3 player in the country. So just look out for that. Big junior day weekend with a lot of names. So like y'all said, perfect time of the year. Basketball, baseball, spring practice 2 weeks away. And then hopefully baseball goes long enough and we'll be right there at the football season. So just hype about everything Tennessee.
Love it. Absolutely. One of these days we will get all of the crew on one podcast, on one live feed. That's our next goal. But until then, good night and go Vols.
Go Vols.
Go Vols.
Give me some better internet. Sheesh.